Hi everyone and welcome to Coffee with Roelof. Hi everyone and welcome to Coffee with Roelof. To Coffee with Roelof. To Coffee with Roelof.
Hi everyone and welcome to Coffee with Roelof. Today we're going to do some questions, and I've got here one from Dave Sanderson. We have a regulatory requirement that needs to be implemented. What would be the best way of getting it done? I only have 6 months to implement it in 12 countries. Dave, this is interesting. I've actually recently, just like 5-6 years ago, managed a program where we had to implement anti-money laundering in, it was almost, I think it was 8 or 9 countries for a very large financial institution. The way I delivered that one was very simple, but also very complex. Regulatory projects, depending on what the requirement is, must have an analysis phase where you analyze the legislation. You also need to have a current state of what your organization is like at that moment, so that you can compare the legislation, the requirement legally or regulatory requirement, to what your state is currently in your organization. That then would determine a gap analysis. The gap analysis will kind of direct you to the next step. The next step is also not that simple, because you might need to procure software, which is much more cost efficient, to do certain things. Depends on what the regulatory requirement is. To procure software means you need to go out on an RFI, and to go out on an RFI you need a position paper, but you need it in such a way that you know exactly what the matchup will be with the legislation, so that you can determine if there's any gaps. That will then enable you to determine whether or not you need tactical fixes or strategic fixes for certain gaps that might still exist. You will also probably require to do some software changes internally, might need to make some changes in the reporting, so all of that might impact the way that you do things. So it's not a very simple answer to give you. Personally, I would first like to understand what my position is, so I will create a position paper and understand what the different options are, so that I can inform my executive around the possible costs, the possible benefits, and the approach I want to take. What is important though is methodology. I hear often people say do it waterfall. No, not the answer. You probably need to use multi-methodology approach. One of the things I do use is Scrum. I use it a lot because there's no better way at getting things done as soon as possible other than Agile. Planning though, however, is a different story, and if you want to implement software from external, you definitely need a waterfall approach. You definitely need to know exactly what the contract between you and the vendor will be, so that they deliver it on time. If you don't have that contract, they will use all sorts of excuses and give you a chase around. So you need to have a specific detail that you can only get if you have a proper gap analysis done. So yeah, I hope that helps you. If you need further help or assistance, I really don't mind if you give me a mail. I'll try and help you.